Okay, guys, I'm showing you the chart of today, and also that Pluto is going direct. It's stationed. And if you can see here, I'm going to show you the chart. If you see my little spotlight here, we've got Pluto is at 22 degrees, and we've got Jupiter at 18 and Saturn, and they're all in the sign of Capricorn, which is to do with structure, and the ruler is Saturn. It's to do with our structure, it's to do with patriarchy, it's to do with father in the sense of rulership and such like. So with the planets here, thankfully with the Pluto direct, I'm going to explain to you what Pluto retrograde actually meant for us, which will be helpful from an evolutionary astrology perspective. If you see here, you've got Pluto, which is in Capricorn, and it's stationed. So it's literally going to go direct within 24 hours, I believe. We've also got the sextile to Neptune here, and Neptune is retrograde. We've got Chiron in Aries retrograde. We've got Mars retrograde for the coming weeks ahead. And we've also got Lilith in Aries as well. We've got Uranus retrograde in Taurus, and the moon is currently in Taurus, which is conjuncting. So we might get big flashes of inspiration right now with the moon conjunct Uranus. We've got the North Node in Gemini, and we've got Venus currently 2 degrees of Virgo, and we've got the Sun in Libra, and we've got Mercury in Scorpio, and the South Node is in Sagittarius. So let's have a little look at what's going on with the idea of Pluto in Capricorn. What we have is that, if we look at it, that it's now going direct to actually what does Pluto, stand for when it's in Capricorn. So it can be the experience, because Pluto is to do with birth, death, transformation, transmutation, and, really making big changes. It's where we have a fall from grace or from power, positions of power, and to do with social positions. And if we look back to when 2008, I believe, that Pluto moved into Capricorn, we can see the beginning of the breakdown of patriarchy. And that basically means, the way things are ruled and rulership. We're going into a new time when Pluto hits into Aquarius in 2023, but officially in 2024. And when Pluto moves into Aquarius, it's going to be there for a good 20 years. So during this time, of Pluto being in Capricorn, it's where we've had, where there's been a lot of people falling loss of positions, and, it's where there's been reformulations and a metamorphosis of our own sense of identity as the collective. And we'll be seeing this change, like as the Aquarius, Pluto, it's where we begin to individuate. So individuation is basically meaning not that we run away from each other and we still work together, but we become whole within ourselves. So individuation is becoming whole within ourselves, and we lose the sense of being codependent and upon another for our safety and well-being. We begin to find our own safety and well-being inside of us. So we can see that there's been a reformulation, and that it is like a metamorphosis period that we're in. We've also, this can be to do with our parents, the 10th house as well, and dictatorship, and where as a child, we're having to conform to others' sense of reality, which has also been going on. We've been having to conform to rules and regulations that no longer work. And this time of having COVID that's come along, which is quite Neptunian because it can't be seen, and Neptune is in Pisces. We can see that this massive change that we've been going through. And we've also know that we can have trauma with this as well, when we feel shut down. And, it can also be to do with the delayed stress of our childhood that's manifested through our emotional lives. So if we take the 10th house, that's the public image as well. And we know that Saturn rules the 10th house. And it can also, if we look, the opposition there is, it opposes, not the opposition, but if we look at Capricorn, opposite, we've got Cancer, which is the womb and mother, and, Mother Earth and such like. So let me just see if I find, because I just printed off something that I wanted to read on the Pluto retrograde, what that would have meant or what it means from an evolutionary perspective. It's basically where it happens every it happens every year, and it happens for a good 6 months out of every 12 months. So half the people born on planet Earth, like, I was born with the Pluto retrograde as an example, but I've got friends who are, maybe 5 months older than me or a few months older than me that don't have a Pluto retrograde at birth. So you want to look at your chart and see if you were born with Pluto retrograde. And it's to do with our natural evolutionary conditions. And Pluto retrograde also is about the status quo and the way we see things, and about our own evolutionary condition and state comes into it. That's what we need to understand. And it allows for collective evolution to occur because with Pluto retrograde, because it means that we're questioning the status quo. We're questioning, is this what we want? Is this the way I want my reality to be? I want to transmute stuff. I want to transform. And it means that we're doing that on an internal level when we have Pluto retrograde at birth. And when it goes retrograde, that's what we're doing. We're looking inward, and we're looking to understand the soul and the soul's evolution. And we get to an accelerated point. It helps us to accelerate and the changes and the individuating, so that we individuate. So that's what as we've been going through the last 5 months with Pluto retrograde, we've been basically speeding up our own evolution, because we've been going inward and really taking a deep, closer look at what's been laying below the surface in our subconscious, which is not normally available to us. And because we've been on lockdown, a lot of people have had a double hit of maybe speeding up the evolution and really looking at things. Do I want that job? Do I want to, how do I want to be in the public eye? How do I want to be seen? What sort of work do I want to do? Because the 10th house is also work, and that's Capricorn also. And we want to have a sense of our own individuality. This has been very important for us. And also it emphasizes, eliminating our separating desires. So where we feel separate in the world, we want to integrate something within us. So it's interesting times that we're living in as we go through the next coming months with Pluto going direct. And also at the moment, Jupiter is squaring the Sun. So let's just look at this. We've got, at the moment, actually, I would say right now that the Sun right this moment is in conjunct to the Moon. We've got the Sun squaring Jupiter. So the Sun, you see here, is square to Jupiter, which is tension, truth and beliefs, and our will. And then we've got the Sun is also in conjunct to Uranus. So we can see here the Sun is in conjunct to Uranus down here. So there's a bit of tension going on and something that we're not quite getting. The Moon moves quite quickly, so I won't really, although we got the Moon opposition Mercury, the Moon is trine into Jupiter. The Moon is conjunct Uranus. I said that just here. And then we've got the Moon sextile to Neptune right at this moment here. And then the Moon is also trine to Pluto. Mercury is opposing Uranus. We can see that there, that Mercury is in opposition to Uranus. And we've got Mars squared to Jupiter, Mars squared to Saturn, and Mars squared to Pluto. You can see this here. So we've got transformation going on. And again, we've gone inward in our direction, like where we can feel like we're walking through water a bit, like we want to get on with things, but it might feel a bit confusing at this time. But this is very important for our evolutionary growth, to look inward and to look at how we're, what we're expecting from ourselves and, from others. We're looking for deep transformation going on here with Pluto, Jupiter, Truth, and Saturn, where we've been restricted. And on the 21st of December, Saturn and Jupiter will be at 0 degrees of Aquarius, which is going to be a new period of time for us, which is great. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but, this is about growing up, all of us, growing up and evolving. We've also got Jupiter is sextile to Neptune currently, and Jupiter is also conjunct Pluto, which we can see there, and Saturn is also conjunct to Pluto, and Jupiter will be catching up, for an exact conjunction as well with Pluto at some point as it moves ahead to, they're going to meet again. And then we have Neptune is sextile Pluto. We've got the North Node sextile to Mars. The North Node is in conjunct Saturn. And the North Node, so we're looking at the North Node here, the aspects that are going on. And then we've got the North Node square to Neptune. So here we've got a square to the North Node to Neptune. And then we have Lilith. We've got the North Node also in conjunct to Pluto. And then Lilith is trine in Venus. So Lilith here is trine to Venus over here, which is, you know, this is the inner rage in us, like, you know, it's our where we want to break free of limitations as well. Lilith is, you know, the wild woman, and to Venus, and this is to do with our needs. Venus is to do with our inner needs when it's in Taurus, and then our outer needs from the Libra point of view. And it's also the way we speak to ourselves, the way we hear ourselves. And then Lilith conjunct Mars, and Lilith is square Saturn, and Lilith is square to Pluto. And Chiron is opposition the Sun at the moment. This is our wound. And then Chiron is also in conjunct to Mercury. So it's an interesting chart. So what I would say is that if we can keep our cool, as we've got this going on, lots of things are going to be changing for us, but as we go through the coming months, but, you know, we're probably going to be in on and off lockdowns up until probably the end of the year and beyond that, as the COVID numbers, you know, work out what's actually going on with COVID. So we need to keep our mental health healthy. I do look at people's charts. If you want to look at your Chiron wound and look at what you could be working on healing at this time. For me, Chiron is in my 4th house at the moment, and that's to do with my security and needs and my inner sense of feeling safe in the world. I was born with Chiron in the 4th house conjunct my Saturn. So it's an important time for us to go inward and to do the shadow work. And the shadow work does not mean that it's just where we basically get to really know who we are, and we look at the things that are holding us back and the belief systems. The shadow work, you know, is part of Carl Gustav Jung. And, you know, I can educate you a little bit on my understanding of that as well. Or look on, you know, just find a YouTube and look at what the shadow means in Jungian terms from Carl Jung's point of view, and how you can help yourself. I might put a video in the link below in the YouTube, in the section on comments, so that you can maybe dig deeper there for yourself to understand. So I'm going to leave it there for today. And hopefully this gives you some idea of what's going on in the skies at the moment. The planets don't do anything to us. It's very much a feeling place whatever we're going through. I might add, actually, we've got the this Mercury is in Scorpio, and that's will be going retrograde. I haven't got the exact date in front of me, but we could look at that together. If you give me 1 second whilst I just see Venus, looking for Mercury. Here, I've got this, but let's just look at this together. I'm just going to show you. If you go to astroseek.com, this is a brilliant site, by the way. If we go to Astroseek and we go to retrograde planets to 2020, you see what I'm doing there? And then we can scroll down and we can see Mercury here, and it's going to go retrograde on October 14th in Scorpio at 11 degrees until November the 3rd, 2020. And it's going to go into 25 degrees of Libra, but it is going to go retrograde in Scorpio. So if we were going to look at that, and then it will go direct on the November the 3rd at 25 degrees. So then we can look at that aspect. But currently with Mercury is to do with our thinking, our communication, and our intellect and our learning. And Mercury is the planet that brings us, it's intellectual, it's about teaching and learning, and it indicates, you know, into what depth we want to study things also. It's our natural intelligence, and it's also where we're analytical and where we figure things out, you know, that are right in front of us, so to speak. Uranus is long-term memory, and Mercury is, you know, day-to-day communications. So Mercury in Scorpio It's to do, you know, we don't really, it's not really about reconciling things. It's about our imagination and, you know, where we want to maybe feel like we might want revenge over something, or we might want to murder with something. It's very emotional with water, because Mercury in water, it brings emotions, and it can feel difficult. We can have difficulty trying to reconcile things with others. And it's also to do with art and mysticism and psychology. Mercury in Scorpio, that's to do with the psyche and the mind. And it's where we want to speak about our emotions whilst it's moving through Scorpio. And it's also, you know, where we can, very intellectual and bright. If that comes our way, if people are overly intellectual and too bright, we can feel that that's a threat. So we might be passive aggressive towards other people, and we want to watch out for that as well. And, you know, it's to do with rivals in Scorpio, and also about teachers and authority. And Mercury, you know, Gemini as well, it's to do with siblings and things. And also Mercury is also connected to Virgo, where we're analyzing things and solving things. So, you know, and also it's to do with the psychology, politics, and detective work and researching. But that at the moment, that Mercury at the moment is opposing the moon right now, and it's also opposing Uranus, and it's conjuncting, let's see, it's conjuncting opposition to Uranus. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Otherwise I go deeper and deeper with the Scorpio Mercury at the moment, delving deep. Okay, I'm going to go back there to what we were looking at. And there's your Mercury in Scorpio at 7 degrees. Okay, that's it. And I'll catch you later. Book a session with me if you'd like to dig deeper and on your own chart. Thanks for watching.